Taiwan is set to go to polls in January 2024, and this time it's a race amongst three political parties. You have the ruling political party, which is the Democratic Progressive Party or the DPP, and then you have Taiwan People's Party and Kuomintang, also known as KMT. Lai Ching-te is the presidential candidate from the ruling party, which is the DPP, and is also the current vice president of Taiwan. He is also leading the opinion polls. On the other hand, the opposition forms of the TPP and Kuomintang. From the TPP or Taiwan People's Party, the presidential candidate is Ko Wen-ji, who is also the former mayor of Taipei, serving from 2014 to 2022. On the other hand, from the KMT or the Kuomintang, the presidential candidate is Ho Yu-yi, who is the current mayor of New Taipei City. And there was a fourth presidential candidate as well. Terry Go, who is the founder of Foxconn, also stepped up and announced his political run as a presidential candidate earlier in August this year. However, just moments before filing for nominations as an official presidential candidate, he dropped out. Things got interesting when the opposition actually failed to materialize an alliance. So, the opposition, which consists of the TPP, which is Taiwan People's Party, KMT or Kuomintang, and the independent presidential candidate, Terry Go, they all stood up on one side, forming the opposition. They all tried to create an alliance, but they couldn't formally agree on the presidential candidacy. And as a result, on live TV, their alliance actually failed to materialize. And due to this, Terry Go, the founder of Foxconn that we talked about earlier, he dropped out of the presidential race. And the TPP and KMT, they filed their individual presidential bids. One thing which is important to note here is that all of these opposition political candidates or the presidential candidates are pro-China. They have a friendly stance towards Beijing and in particular China. Ever since Tsai Ing-wen's DPP, the Democratic Progressive Party, came into power, the relations between Taiwan and China actually got stressful. So much so that the military activities around Taiwan increased by China. China considers the Democratic Progressive Party as separatists, the whole party as a separatist party, because DPP's aim is to establish Taiwan as an independent, sovereign, and autonomous nation. On the other hand, China has always wanted to reunify with Taiwan. The Communist Party of China, although they've never ruled Taiwan, they've considered Taiwan as a part of the mainland. On the other hand, all the opposition parties have considered mainland as a part of Taiwan or the Republic of China, while the DPP has aimed to establish Taiwan as an independent sovereign state. If you want to learn more about the history of China and Taiwan, you can go and watch this video. This video explains Taiwan and China relations in detail. The link is in the description below. With the opposition alliance failing to materialize and Lai Ching-te leading in the opinion polls, it seems like China at this point has lost all hopes of a political turnaround in Taiwan. Now, here's where China's involvement in Taiwan elections comes into play. Taiwan says that China has very diverse ways of interfering in Taiwan's elections. China can exercise military pressure to spreading fake lies, including manipulating opinion polls. China can go to any length in order to create stronger ties between Taiwan and China, so much so that Taiwan actually reunifies with China. And at this point, China is looking for a pro-Chinese government. China has in fact increased military interactions around Taiwan since 2020. At this point, Taiwan has been on alert for Chinese-funded election interference. Just recently, it was observed that China tried to sway hundreds of Taiwanese politicians with cheap trips. Beijing sponsored these trips in order to sway voters to vote for candidates that are pro-China. Now, China is looking to establish a government, as I mentioned earlier, which is pro-China, so that the mainland can increase its influence over the sovereign island. Taiwan security agencies are looking into 400 such trips that were just made in the last month. Now, as per these agencies, these trips were organized by units under China's Taiwan Affairs Office. And so far, 22 people have been put under investigation, including grassroots politicians for potential election violations. Now, as per these security officials who are investigating this particular case, China's election interference has started under the name of group tours. Not only that, but recently, China also started investigating, rather, the Chinese tax authorities, they started investigating the Foxconn entities or the companies under Foxconn. Now, as I mentioned earlier, Foxconn's founder, Terry Gou, announced his independent presidential run. Not only that, but he also dropped out of the presidential race. His company being under scrutiny in China for tax violations was certainly known to have some sort of impact over Taiwan's elections. Now, on one hand, you have the Chinese authorities that have said that this investigation is a normal and legitimate investigation. On the other hand, you have many experts in Taiwan who believe that this is an attempt to interfere in Taiwan's upcoming elections. Chinese experts further said that this investigation may have an impact on the upcoming Taiwan elections, even though this investigation may be normal. It is important to note here that Terry Gou has a favorable stance towards China and actually wants friendlier relations with China, the mainland. And even though Terry Gou has friendlier relations with China, his enterprise, Foxconn, was under investigation on the grounds of tax implications as well as land use. Now, Foxconn was required to cooperate and comply with the Chinese authorities, and the company was also set to correct the mistakes if any mistakes were found. And as a consequence of this investigation against Foxconn, the company's shares declined and Terry Gou lost millions of dollars. As I mentioned earlier, China wants to reunify Taiwan with the mainland. And China, although it has specifically stated that it is looking for peaceful resolution at this point, it can go to any length to establish reunification of Taiwan with China. And on this specific issue, both the United States and China, they have not been able to negotiate, and Taiwan remains a sensitive issue for both the US and China. The US wants to defend China and its independence and sovereignty as an island while still maintaining the status quo that the CCP actually represents China. With Taiwan's elections coming up, what do you think is going to happen? Do you think that Chinese involvement in the Taiwan's elections is going to play a huge role, or will Taiwan's current government, which is the Democratic Progressive Party, still going to be in power? Please let me know in the comments below. If you found this video valuable, please share it with your friends and family, and please do not forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you for watching the video and have a great day.